February 1945. Deep inside a sprawling underground bunker in Peenemünde, Germany, the air is thick with the acrid scent of machine oil and gunpowder. The faint hum of electric motors blends with the clatter of tools as engineers and scientists scramble to assemble what could be the most terrifying weapon of the war, a massive tank known only as the Tortoise. You can almost taste the tension, the impossible weight of hope and desperation crushed into every bolt tightened in this labyrinth of steel. Outside, Allied bombers drone relentlessly overhead, but down here, the clock ticks toward a weapon that might never see the battlefield. The Tortoise was no ordinary tank. Weighing nearly 90 tons, its armor was designed to shrug off the most powerful Allied artillery. Its massive 32-centimeter gun promised devastation, unlike anything seen before. Yet despite its promise, the Tortoise languished in assembly halls and testing grounds, never mounting its iron heart to a war that was racing toward its conclusion. It was a monument to advanced engineering and grim resolve, a machine born from the darkest hours of a crumbling Reich. Meanwhile, on England's south coast, a bizarre contraption sat idle, its giant wheels bristling with unmatched lethality. The Panjandrum, a rocket-propelled bomb on wheels, was meant to storm the fortified beaches of Normandy, demolishing obstacles like a furious mechanical beast. But during tests, its wild spins and erratic speeds turned the weapon into a dangerous toy that hurtled unpredictably, injuring observers and destroying testing grounds instead of German defenses. This monstrous idea never made it into the invasion order, doomed to be a strange footnote in the history of World War II's wonder weapons. Across the Atlantic, American engineers poured sweat and steel into the XA-44, a project aiming to create a jet fighter faster and deadlier than any before it. Using radical turbine technology still in its infancy, this sleek fighter buzzed above test ranges, but was grounded by mechanical failures and shifting priorities. As the war's end loomed, cutting-edge dreams were sacrificed on the altar of urgency and cost. These weapons share a haunting trait. They hovered on the brink of battlefield glory, innovations too advanced or ill-timed to alter the course of the war. Their stories are etched in abandoned blueprints, silent test fields, and shattered hopes hidden away from the history books. What happens when the most terrifying weapons never fight? How do these forgotten giants shape the legend and the reality of World War II's technological race? Crowds gather on the pebbled shores of Westward Ho, their whispers cutting through the salty wind whipping off the Devon coast. Engineers from the Directorate of Miscellaneous Weapon Development huddle behind sand dunes, eyes fixed on the hulking silhouette emerging from a landing craft. Neville Shute, the project's driven chief designer, grips his clipboard, sweat beading despite the chill 70 cordite rockets gleam along the rims of those monstrous 10-foot wheels, the central drum axle swollen with over a ton of simulated explosives. Ignite! Flames erupt in a deafening roar. The Panjandrum lurches forward, sand spraying like shrapnel, hurtling at 60 miles per hour toward the mock Atlantic wall. But then a wheel falters. Rockets shear off one side, whipping wildly through the air like enraged hornets. The beast veers sharply, carving erratic arcs across the beach, spectators scattering as it careers toward the sea. You can hear the gasps, feel the panic in the air, thick with cordite smoke. Shute's team scrambles, adding a third stabilizing wheel, then steel guide cables tethered to jeeps. Yet each test spirals into chaos. Cables snap like violin strings. Rockets detach in fiery cascades, the machine chasing its own tail in furious spins. This wasn't mere failure. It was a spectacle of defiance, designed to breach Hitler's impenetrable concrete barriers without risking a single soldier's life. The Panjandrum embodied desperate ingenuity. But sand gripped unevenly, wind toyed with its balance, and raw power outpaced control. By early 1944, with D-Day looming, military brass demanded only general direction toward the enemy, yet even that proved elusive. What if this rolling apocalypse had obeyed its creators? Could it have carved paths through Normandy's defenses, rewriting the bloodiest day of the invasion? Deep in the shadowed valleys of Kummersdorf, Germany, Oberst Heinrich Himmler paces the frost-cracked concrete beside a behemoth that dwarfs even the Tiger tanks rumbling nearby. The Landkreuzer P 1000 rat codenamed the Tortoise looms like a steel mountain, its hull 115 feet long, 45 feet wide, crewed by 20 souls in a floating fortress of 1,000-ton fury. Turrets bristle with twin 28-centimeter naval guns ripped from battleships, flanked by 12.8-centimeter flak cannons and anti-aircraft batteries that could shred squadrons from afar. You feel the ground tremble as diesel engines cough to life, the air vibrating with raw, untamed power meant to conquer cities single-handedly. Engineers swarm like ants, welding final plates onto armor thick enough to laugh at 500-millimeter shells. Designed by Krupp's mad geniuses under Krupp Gruson, the Rat was Hitler's fever dream. A land battleship to spearhead the Eastern Front, trampling Soviet armor under tracks 13 feet wide. Powered by twin-man marine diesels churning 17,000 horsepower, it could crawl at 25 miles per hour across battlefields. Its 6 turrets unleashing barrages that would pulverize fortifications from miles away. But weight-crushed ambition rails buckled under test models, wedges became jokes, and fuel demands rivaled a destroyer fleet. By mid-1944, as Red Army tanks encircled Berlin's outskirts, Albert Speer, the Reich's armaments minister, slashed the project. Resources poured into V-2 rockets and jet fighters instead. The Tortoise's incomplete chassis rusted in barns, blueprints burned to deny Allies the secret. A weapon that could have redrawn maps, silenced by logistics and the Reich's collapse. Imagine it unleashed. Would armored legions have shattered the Allied advance, or become bloated targets for airstrikes? In a secret hangar under the vaulted ceilings of an American airfield, engineers untangle advanced blueprints for the Bell P-59 Aerocomet, America's first jet fighter prototype. Unlike the sleek jets that would redefine aerial combat, the Aerocomet carried the burden of raw ambition and prototypes barely tamed. Meanwhile, tucked away in another laboratory, the XA-44 project pursues a more covert reckoning. A jet fighter armed with cannons so powerful it could dominate skies with a single burst. Its 37mm M4 autocannon was the killer inside, an advanced piece of artillery, designed to shred enemy bombers with devastating precision. But the XA-44's radical jet engines, forged from the embryonic technology of turbojets, sputtered and groaned under the strain. Too heavy, too unreliable, too late. The war was ending, priorities shifting money and manpower diverted to more practical and proven machines like the P-51, Mustang, and the P-47 Thunderbolt. Though the project burned bright in testing halls, the XA-44 was grounded. No roaring dogfights, no aerial duels over the Pacific or Europe. Instead, it became a ghost of what fighter aviation might have been, the cutting edge that never unleashed its full fury. Even more other designs, like the German America bomber proposal to drop atomic bombs, or Japan's suicide rocket planes, wound up as plans never fully realized. These weapons, equally visionary and doomed, show that the tides of war are as much about timing, politics, and infrastructure as technology. What if these magnificent machines had arrived a year earlier? Could entire battles have rewritten their endings?